Oh, shit. Ooh, damn. Damn. What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. You know, it's funny because today, when I woke up this morning and was getting ready to get out of bed, the alarm clock went off at 5:30, and I'm hearing the wind whipping like crazy. And I'm like, what the heck? And I looked at the weather forecast, and they were calling for 30 to 45 mile an hour wind gust, and the high temperature is going to be like 41 degrees. Shout out to the mailman, Brian, who was delivering mail in this nor'easter that they're having further north, and in the snow and stuff. And this is what's crazy, because it feels like the month of March is going backwards. Here it is. There we go. That's a bud off the tree, because we've got blooms and stuff, and we've got, I think 26 or 27 degrees is what's going to go down tonight. And with this wind blowing, the wind chills are going to be chilly. But I had planned on going down to work on the red brick house, was going to spend the night. And I'm actually fortunate, glad, because when I found out how windy it was going to be, what I need to do is we got to put the sheathing on the outside of the house, rip off some siding and stuff. And I started thinking, these gusts of wind might not be the best time to do this with it being as cold. Now, tomorrow it's supposed to be about 12 degrees warmer and not quite as windy, but still windy, but not quite as windy. You can see the fires just dancing around here. But I'm glad I was here, because we had so much news that happened. We had the Michael Irvin tape come out. We had Michael Irvin, dismiss his case and then refile it in Arizona and dealing with all that stuff. We had the Cowboys re-sign Donovan Wilson, and then ended up trading for Stephon Gilmore for a fifth. Hey, I'll take that deal every day. Using one of the compensatory picks that they had. And then re-signing Leighton Vander Esch. And all of a sudden, you start feeling a lot better about our defense right now. There's a couple more pieces that we need to work on, and so on. But then there's word right now, couple of different words, and I'm going to say I think that we're not good. I think we're out of the Odell situation, because I think Odell, one, I've done a point counterpoint with Brian. It's been uploaded for about the last 45 minutes. I don't know if it's ever going to be finished this evening. It just takes more time because it's about 32 minutes or so. But Odell, I still worry about the knee, the production he's had the last few years, and the me attitude. See, I don't want to say he's up there with Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers, you can see Aaron Rodgers is like a bad kid. Mom and dad just don't want to see him having a temper tantrum in the store. And it's like, all of a sudden, I want Alan Lazard. No, Johnny, you can't have Alan. I want Alan Lazard. I want Alan. Okay, we'll get that. But that's it. That's all we're going to do. But Mom, I want Randall Cobb. I want Randall Cobb. Okay. Well, that's it. We'll get you Randall Cobb. But I want Odell Beckham Jr. And it's just like, at some point, you got to whip his ass. At some point, you got to let him know your ass ain't going to the damn store no more because you're acting a fool. I learned that as a little kid, because I sat there on the porch, because I used to go ride with my dad, okay? That car, man, my dad had this red convertible car. I can't remember what kind of car it was. All I know was, if the car was moving, I was riding with Dad. Till I made the mistake, because my dad worked in the evenings at the post office. I got up on the porch. I want to go with Dad. I want to go with Dad. Ah. Dad was like, "Oh, you want to cry about it? You sit your ass down. You ain't riding no more." And that was the end of me riding with Dad. I learned. But Aaron Rodgers, apparently, he ain't never had to learn. But I feel like that's kind of Odell Beckham Jr. too. He is that drama queen. He is that person that has to have all that attention. It's all about me. And I worry about that messing up in the locker room. Now, we're hearing word that the Cowboys are still looking at wide receivers, looking at trading for wide receiver. There's Jerry Judy. And there's also Cortland Sutton that we've heard that Denver is interested in moving those guys. The thing about Jerry Judy is, and that's a guy that the Cowboys actually called about during the season, is he's still on his rookie deal and is still relatively cheap. Now, I'm not going to say that he's as good as DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins you may get for a lesser pick, but has a bigger contract that he may be willing to renegotiate. And Hopkins, I think, is the better wide receiver, at least right now, but he is older. So you get Judy that's in his, mid-20s, or you get Hopkins that's like 31. If you're looking at this for a couple of years, then you look at Hopkins, especially if it's going to be a lesser draft pick. Now, for me, I will say I can't believe the Cowboys did that. I may have to eat crow. I may have to eat some crow, seriously, because we looked at this and we said the Cowboys, we killed the Cowboys. We killed the Cowboys. Now, one player is all they brought in so far, okay? One player. Now, if they end up making a trade and getting a wide receiver, now all of a sudden this changes the whole draft philosophy, because now you filled in the holes. Because, and I dare say, they talked to Bobby Wagner a couple of times about coming here. Now, keep in mind, they lost Anthony Barr out there, and they're losing Luke Gifford. That's two linebackers. And, we're relying on Jabril Cox, who has yet to really show up, and then you got Damone Clark. So you could still say, we're trying to make this team the best team possible. And having a rotation of guys at the linebacking position to stop the run is good, especially if you have a guy who literally had 50 more tackles last year in a down year for him than Leighton Vander Esch had last year. Yeah. And putting Stephon Gilmore back there with the safeties we have, getting Donovan Wilson in that rotation with Malik Hooker, who really is getting back into a stride after his injury, along with Jaron Kearse, you've got a top 3 defensive backfield. And if you can get a pass rush to go with it, that will make that defensive backfield even better. And if you put in Bobby Wagner, you've got one of the best defenses in football. And that, my friends, is what you want to have. Now let's see what they do with the offense, because it seems like the defense is the new toy that they're playing with now. They kind of let the offense kind of be the redheaded stepchild in the way that the defense used to be. It's cold out here. I ain't going to lie to you. It's cold out here. That wind is hawking. Woo, man. But back to what I was saying. You may look at this and say, what are they really going to do on the offense? Now, the problem at the moment is the Cowboys have about $7 million. Not a lot to work with at the moment, but at least we're below the cap. If they're doing something with Bobby Wagner, you've got time, because Bobby Wagner is his own agent, and he's not in a rush to sign. He wasn't last year. He won't be this year. So if you made preliminary talks, Bobby will, I'll get back to you on it. We're cool. You can have a nod agreement because he trusts Dan Quinn. The question now is, now that they got Stephon Gilmore, is a guy like Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis now, you can look and grab him $4.5 million just cutting him right now, because he's at the end of his contract. We still are waiting for clarification on Zeke Elliott. That's a spot that you can get a minimum of $5 million and maybe take a dead hit or restructure him. And then there is Tyron Smith, who has a voidable year that you could use to do something with his contract. If they're going to make some of these other moves, and we did hear them originally saying how important Dalton Schultz is, for all we know, they may still try and bring back Dalton Schultz. Look at that. My phone is blown. It might get blown over. It might literally get blown. It's, oh my God, it's cold. Makes me wonder if I should be going down there tomorrow or not. I'm going to check the wind in the morning because if it's still this windy, damn. See, this is too windy to be on the side of the house on the ladder and too cold. I'll check in the morning because I may just wait until Friday. Just may go down on Friday and just do what I can do. But anyway, be that as it may, if the Cowboys were to get a wide receiver, that changes everything going into the draft. Because then you start looking and saying, okay, we have holes. We have areas where we would like to upgrade, but you're now at a point where it's not necessary to draft at a position. Because now, okay, you got a middle linebacker, you've got some young guys also at linebacker, you've got your edge rushers with, of course, Micah Parsons, you've got, they're trying to work on re-signing Dante Fowler, I think that'll get done. You've got Sam Williams, you got D-Law, you've got edge rushers, you have Gallimore, you've got Osa, you've got, who am I missing? Quentin Bohannon, some tackles in there. You may want to add some more if you re-sign Hankins, which I hope they do. He's a big run stuffer in there. You still like to upgrade, but you don't necessarily have to early. Your defense, especially if you get Bobby Wagner, your linebacking crew, you're good. Your secondary, you're good. Your safeties, you're good. And you look at it, and if you bring in a Hopkins, okay, you look at Hopkins in the slot, CD, as the number one, and then you've got, hopefully, Michael Gallup is in a lot better shape than he was last year. That's a good wide receiving core. You do have Zeke, you got Tony, and you move Tyron Smith back to left tackle. You take Tyler Smith, put him at guard, and you have at least starting out the season a good offensive line if Terrence Steele doesn't have the ACL hangover that we always have with our team. You'd still like to add and upgrade some more there too, because Tyron Smith's going to miss time. It's not a matter of if, it's when, okay? So you look at that and say, And tight ends, you have Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot. You want to add some more there as well, but it's not necessary. So let's say you end up giving away a second and get Jerry Jeudy, although I think they may want more because he's young. But then again, we've seen Ramsey go for a third. Let's say you give up a third for Hopkins instead. I still have my number one, then I still have my number two. I got my fourth, I got 2 fifths, I got a 6, I got a 7. With that first pick, you can do, if you have a player, and the Cowboys like to get the top prospect at a position. Oh, I need to hurry up and finish this. Oh, the camera's about to die. How much I got? Oh, yeah, I got to finish this. Listen, because the camera's going to die. Let me say this. Tell the people you love them. You might not get the chance again. I love you guys. But if this thing dies, all this recording is gone. Peace.